So we did that video the other day on how Chrysler inadvertently created the funny car with those 11 altered wheelbase AFX cars. So even crazier and more obscure than that is that the same brain trust that Chrysler, who came up with this stuff, also accidentally invented the wheelie truck. So here's how this one goes. Now it starts with Ford, 1962. There's rumors that Ford is going to do a run of 50 race pickup trucks. 50 would be enough to qualify for like super stock. So Chrysler gets wind of this and they say, you know what, we could do this too. So they built 50 426 wedge-powered D100s. Now these weren't max wedge, these were single 4-barrel trucks. So the Ford ones never come to pass and the Dodges never find a home in super stock. But one of Chrysler's subcontractors, Dragmaster, which is, think of them as like the West Coast version of the Ram Chargers. They have one of these trucks running out of their stables. And it's owned by a DJ, his name is Boynton. Here it is, Dick Boynton. So this thing is run by him and his wife. So what Dragmaster does is, they install a max wedge motor in this thing, and they run it in B factory experimental. So now the truck runs on like the bottom 12s, has major traction problems. And you can see that's why the back of this thing is dropped the way it is. There was like a 70-30 weight distribution with it, so you can only like really walk out of the starting line. It had the power to weight ratio to go much faster, but it was stuck there in the bottom 12s. Nevertheless, it ran with the cars, and that was enough. You know, to have a full-size pickup truck running toe-to-toe with the factory hot rods, that's a big deal. So the truck got a bunch of ink, got a bunch of press. So as a follow-up to that, Ford creates this backdoor deal. Oh, where's that? There it is. With this truck, which is now running out of the East Coast. And again, it gets a ton of ink. It's a B factory experimental. It's a stripped F100 that's running basically a 427 a super stock motor. Like think of it as a T-bolt pickup truck. And again, they have the same traction issues. You can see that's why the back end is squatted down the way it is. So again, this ran about the same numbers as the Dodge. These trucks were getting a lot of ink. They were getting a lot of exposure. So Chrysler says, you know what? This is a good thing. Let's go one step further. Let's build an A factory experimental pickup based on the A100 and the super stock Hemi. So what they do is they take, let's see, this is a grainy picture, but it's the best one we could find to set up. So they take a super stock 426 Hemi, couple of torque flight, plug it into an 8 3/4 rear, and then they build a subframe around it. And then they take this subframe and they stick it under the back of an A100. And this is what it looks like installed in the truck. And the little red wagon is born. So now this is while the car was still owned by Chrysler Corporation. And that's Jay Howell driving it. So what happened was they tried a bunch of different drivers in this thing, and everybody had the same issues with it. You know, it would not keep the front end on the ground. It was squirrely. You hit the gas and nose comes right up. They tried a bunch of different things, but it was considered to be unworkable. One of the drivers that they had trying to sort this was a guy named Bill Golden, Bill Maverick Golden, and he was a payroll super stock driver for Dodge at the time. So when Chrysler says, you know what, this thing is just too far out, let's focus on the more conventional cars and work with those, it was put up for sale, and Golden bought it. So now in a stroke of true genius showmanship, what Golden does is, he pulls the cross ram off, he sticks a set of Hilborn injectors on it. Oh, there we go. Sticks a set of Zoomies on it, 30% nitro in the tank, and the little red wagon, as we know it today, was born. So now, this thing caused an absolute sensation. You gotta remember, during this period of time, it was an unusual sight for a full-body vehicle to pull her wheels even a little bit. You know, wheelies were the domain of dragsters and altereds and stuff like that. So to have a full-size vehicle, much less a pickup truck, just hike the front end and carry it out a few hundred feet was a big deal. Every magazine in the country featured this. It was on all of the covers. MPC built a model of it. Every 12-year-old boy in America had a model of this car, this truck. And Golden ran it out as far as he could. There were a few different versions of this. This is the original car that originally belonged to Chrysler Corporation. He crashed this in like 1969, and then built another truck out of one of the display trucks, crashed that one in like 1976, and then he combined the two trucks. And so at any rate, this truck right here still survives to this day. So this is the original truck. This is the one that the Chrysler Corporation put together and Maverick bought from them. And I saw this one here at Carlisle probably 2 or 3 years ago. But that's the original truck that Chrysler Corporation decided that they were going to take over a factory experimental with. And that truck became the blueprint for just about every exhibition wheelie car, wheelie truck to come that they still run to this day. So that's it. You know, weird, obscure, ancient stuff from the past, we got plenty of that. I'll see you tomorrow.